As much as I'm really not a fan of the air mattresses because I have a bad history of popping them, particularly on the early parts of the PCT, I am kind of wishing I had my Nemo tensor here. It is kind of funny. Every time I'm off trail, I start looking at, my previous hikes and I'm like, well, if I started hiking at sunup, I would probably be a 30-mile-a-day sort of person. Then I get out here and it's like, it's cold and I really want to drink my coffee. I think I'll start at my usual, 8, 9 o'clock. The good news is it does appear that Jen has her car shuttle worked out, so I will see her early Saturday morning. She will be with me Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Plan is to hike up to Warner Springs where she's going to leave her car. And then we go back into town and birthday celebration. I'm turning 42 on the 19th. And this time around, it looks like it'll be a little nicer than when I turned 40 at least. I was in this swamp of a Confederate or something battleground out in Florida. It was raining. I had no coffee because I made the mistake of trying to cold soak, no stove it for a little too long. Yeah, better times. I guess the wind is subtly hinting it's time to stop editing videos and get going. Okay, well that was fun. Nothing like trying to break down the tent as the thing's trying to, blow away from your hands. Check the weather and it looks like it's going to be another day with highs in the 40s. Lows in the high 30s. It is breezy, but plus side after the CDT last year. At least here I get a little bit of vegetation cover. General plan for today, I have to get through Morena and a couple more miles and then just try and get around 20 miles again. I'm meeting Jen at mile 56-ish 2 days from today, so plenty of time. Got a little bit of fudge time. Didn't make it quite as far as I wanted yesterday, but that's what I get for talking so much. Yesterday ended up being a solid day. Honestly, that's really what I'm looking for out here. 20 miles, 3,000 feet of gain is enough where I'm feeling it. And after 5 days, I'll have kind of pushed through it. Usually day 3 or 4 seems to be the worst for me. And then you start to kind of push through it and just get stronger. I have friends that section hike the PCT. They're working on the entire thing. They're just doing it a week here, a week there. And I always say they're working a lot harder than I was when I was through hiking. Because once you get a couple hundred miles in, your body starts to adapt and you're good and strong. I was really feeling good when I got to the Sierra. Now, granted, by the time I got halfway through Oregon, I was really feeling worn down, and there is that whole factor. Through hiking. Finally got out of the wind for a minute. So there's Lake Morena. There's a very hiker-friendly campground down below. May try and use the bathroom. And then get back up to the hills. Having been on the other long trails now, this trail in general, if you're wondering how it feels next to the AT or the CDT, it does go near civilization. I mean, you walk through Campo and some other things. It doesn't seem like it's quite embraced as much as, say, the AT, where you have signs and, the trail literally goes straight through, Hot Springs and a couple other places. The AT, I often felt like I was going through some urbanish area, trying to make miles to get away from that so I can camp. With the PCT, there's 1 or 2 spots I can think of where that happened, but generally I can just kind of camp everywhere. Not to mention, without the shelters, there's a lot more kind of developed campsites all over, meaning just flat patch of dirt, not, facilities or anything. So rarely was I in the position where, I'd like to camp, but I have to push it XYZ more miles. That was a real adjustment when I got on the Florida Trail after this, though, because all of a sudden the Florida Trail can be kind of urban here and there. So you have gut hooks, you have the usual comments, marked campsites, things like that. But I wasn't always sure what I was going through. Sometimes I would be getting towards the end of the day and I was eternally afraid of hitting like a 10-mile section where I'm going right between houses and things like that and just not having any options. One of the things I've been doing is kind of heads down prepping for the American Discovery Trail in 2024. Because why prep for the stuff this summer? Let's do that at the very last minute. And one of the interesting things there is they have a data book. You have to pay for it, which I don't begrudge them. They're developing a trail, yada yada. But it actually lists the type of trail you're going through. So at the very least, it will list are you on a paved road with a shoulder? Are you on a dirt road? Are you on a single track? Or in my case here, are you talking to your phone and then walking off the trail? And my general pattern is I don't generally like knowing everything that's coming ahead. You know, I don't sit there and watch PCT videos, etc. Because when I went through, I'm grateful for the beta, but I don't want to know, oh yeah, right around this corner is this, right around this corner is this, because that kind of takes me out of the moment. That's why I was saying I didn't enjoy the Sierra quite as much, because I knew what was ahead every turn, every pass, because of all the peak bagging and things. So generally I found myself looking ahead, versus my best days out on the trail are basically just I hit my hiker's end. I'm hiking, I've been hiking, I'm not worried about when I'm gonna get anywhere. I'm just going, you know, till the next water source, till the next snack break, something like that. This is why personally I really like kind of the era of far out / gut hooks, because it gives you enough to be able to make informed decisions from the trail without having to exhaustively prep everything ahead of time. Obviously I am capable of exhaustively prepping with the help of my lovely girlfriend. We usually look over things and at least make sure it's feasible. Whoa! Hey! You know, you look at something like the Condor Trail, you don't even know where your next water source is. P.S. Not brought to you by Gut Hooks Far Out. I have to buy my guides like everybody else. In sections like this where I do have to kind of watch the water, it's nice to at least have a better guess. Like when I left that water source at 4.4, I knew Hauser, based on a comment about a month ago, was probably going to be dry. So I'm prepared for it. This is why I say things like the aqueduct are really overblown. The aqueduct was one of the big fear-mongering things I ran into in 2022. Everybody's talking fearfully about the dry stretch, running out of water, heat, etc., etc. It's 17 miles and it's dead flat. There's water with the crazy compound right before Hiker Town, I think it was. And then right after there's a faucet, and you generally know if the faucet's been turned on. This campground does have a designated PCT area, and it's open now, unlike when I went through. So you just pay $5 and you can stay a single night. Downside, you know, you're in a campground, see all the RVs. I just look at those and go generator, potentially aggressive dog. Oh look, somebody with a boombox. That's great. Not that 3 years living out of campgrounds went off trail has turned me cynical or anything. And after water and a bathroom visit, onwards up to the next hill. I will pretty much always have a soft spot for this campground. In 2020, when everything was shut down and all the campgrounds were supposed to boot everybody out, they did kind of like sneak us in and let us get water and use the bathroom. So the next 13 miles or so is a big climb all the way up to Mount Laguna, which is usually the first resupply stop along here. I probably won't go all that way. I'm just not making quite as good a time as I like. Any story of my life, right? But I'll probably fill up at one of the water sources right before and try and stay, you know, a little bit this side. Fortunately, I think I can stretch my food until when Jen gets here so I can save time. This is one of the sections I remember being really nice. I actually went ahead and got the dispersed camping permit for Descano Ranger District of Cleveland National. So I can legally stay wherever I want. Otherwise, unless you have a PCT permit through here, you're only supposed to stay at the campgrounds. And they make the permit really easy to get. It's, you know, email somebody and get it back by email a few days before your trip. So those three guys were the first people I've run into out here who are actually backpacking. They said they're just doing Section A also. This is my second favorite ordnance-related sign I've run across hiking. The other was caution, objects may fall from planes in a dummy bombing range. Finally got a break from the wind for a little while. So that's Sibbet's Flat Campground. It is one of the developed campgrounds in Toscano. And if I didn't have my permit, I would have to camp there to be legal. I don't know what temperature it is right now, but this wind chill's kind of cool. The ground's frozen every time my hiking pole hits it. It doesn't go in at all. Just gotta find a water, then the first protected campsite. Okay, got this down to some water. All it took was a little minor bushwhacking out through thorns. And now to camp. So cold, I had to get set up as quickly as I can. So I am hunkered down for the night, just trying to stay warm. Home sweet home for the night.